Guera, slang for white girl. Part 1. Joaquin. Death notice. A vague post on Facebook by a high school acquaintance announced, Joaquin unexpectedly passed away at his home last night. The finality of his death left me with a lingering regret, a sting of unexpected sadness, and an excuse to mourn a relationship that rotted away more than 30 years before. The photo showed a healthy 40-something-year-old, smiling like he often did in his youth, which gave him a look of a person that didn't take life too seriously. A facade. He always played the fool to hide pain and appear more masculine. Curiosity led me to his profile to see what type of life he lived. Some things don't surprise me, like having hundreds more female friends than male. I felt a twinge of jealousy that he had courageously lived in the moment. Rockabilly parties, low riders, and riding in a motorcycle gang. I watched a few of his posted videos. I sighed. Damn, that boy never changed. He stayed authentically, unapologetically himself, always trying to hustle. When did I become a beige wall, cardigan-wearing personality? I pondered the unrealistic question regarding the life we could have shared, knowing damn well it was never meant to be. My heart stopped when I saw a picture he posted a month before his passing, to my younger self. There we were, 17 years old, standing in front of his car on the way to prom. I didn't want to go, but Joaquin convinced me it was a rite of passage we'd regret not attending. His aunt, a true homegirl with sprayed-out hair like a glorious lion, took the Polaroid. Joaquin had a sheepish grin as he proudly held me in his arms. What did this picture mean to Joaquin for him to keep it safe for so many years? It was too late to contact him and ask him about his unpublished thoughts to his younger self, or to tell him that I appreciated him. Beyond the darkness we shared, he was the first to believe in me, and even saved my life. The last time we spoke, I was a fresh 21-year-old, surrounded by college guys at a club who thought I was naive and inexperienced. Joaquin walked through the doors looking like a Las Vegas high roller in an obnoxious Hawaiian print shirt. Look at this fool. Let's pretend not to see each other. Of course, Joaquin didn't hesitate to assertively approach me. He'd changed from being a young homeboy who played it cool. There was an uncertain softness when he looked at me that might have meant something if I hadn't wanted to punish him so badly. After he greeted me, I harshly responded, I forgive you. I forgive everything. Surprised by my first words, he paused, then nodded his head, not denying nor excusing the past. He invited me to a couch in the lobby to talk. Joaquin wasn't distracted by the fraternity guys' insecurity as they watched one of their sisters occupied by an outsider. He remained intently focused on me, his warmth mixed with sadness, in a proper ratio of no regrets with not hanging on. I think of you still sometimes. I know you're doing great things and going to become a teacher like you wanted. It makes me happy just to believe in you. I will always be proud of you. He smiled, eliminating any real emotions. Meanwhile, I'm living life and trying to do no harm to anyone. You taught me some things, even though I was a slow learner, Ms. Teacher. We hugged tightly with sincere affection at a proper goodbye. The resentment and regrets vanished. We'd evolved from the uncontrollable young love that's found in a trauma-filled youth to a mature stillness of truly wanting the best for one another. I thought about his family's grief and wanted to post my condolences on their Facebook page. They were good people who accepted me for a brief but critical time in my life. I wanted to explain how Joaquin saved that girl in the picture, even if it isn't an easy story to tell. I wanted to tell them the good because that was what his memory deserved. Looking back at all the relationships I had growing up in Oceanside during the 80s and 90s, I realized nobody was all saint nor sinners. We were kids, enduring pain while hoping to find acceptance and unconditional love. Joaquin was complex like that, and to remember him as less wouldn't be the truth. Chariot. When you can't feel emotion, it doesn't matter where you go or who takes you there. My life appeared like an old film noir on a warm summer night in Southern California. A shiny black '64 Chevy lowrider with windows rolled down pulled up beside the gas station booth. The driver wore a black baseball cap and held a toothpick firmly between the edges of thick white teeth. He lowered his head to make eye contact. He gave a single chin nod. "What's up?" The chariot's engine revved impatiently between rhythmic purrs, partially covering an old lady's radio station's static. The driver held the reins with 2 hands in anticipation of a quick getaway. I don't remember an invitation to give me a ride. His familiar presence meant nothing. I told Joaquin the truth weeks before that I couldn't stomach having another boyfriend, and I would never accept his proposals. He persisted and regularly stopped by the gas station with his jovial jokes and bullshit, acting like a friend while hunting for a weakness. He probably thought the new tactic of playing cool was what finally impressed me, but to be honest, it was his car. The engine coaxed me inside to rest on firm spring seats covered in gray and black patterned serape. I was exhausted by many things, but fascination with the car offered new hope. The Impala's perfectly cared-for body stretched in long parallel lines. Silver flashed off chrome trim. A little white girl from the hood could easily get lost in the back seat beneath the weight of a man that sought her company. But it didn't matter at the time. The driver knew to keep his mouth shut and drive if he wanted the chance. In a show of power, the metal beast peeled out of the driveway onto Mission Avenue and headed towards the I-5 freeway. Streetlights bounced off the hood like shooting stars as we sailed on our way to hell for all I cared. Alone, the driver showed his true nature. His eyes pierced the dark, sparks of red from beneath his hat, fiery. I didn't wonder if it was rage from denying him so many times or his desire to have me confined in his car that made him tense his knuckles on the steering wheel. He was stone cold, enough so that he could have devoured my flesh, sucked out my blood, and drank any flickering of life force that remained in my dull, aching chest. I wouldn't have blamed him if he had. It might have been a relief to be dissolved through his teeth and shredded by his powerful fingers. I would willingly have paid my life to him anyway for finding a source of God's breath that filled my lungs as oxygen from the wind came into me through the open window. In the stomach of the beast I surrendered anxiety, to hold on to a desire to keep sailing. Keep moving. Don't stop. I leaned on the open window frame to look at the blackness where stars should have been, seeing only light post after light post whiz by. The constant engine noise and soothing grooves of the road made me vulnerable to the car's sway, like a baby in a mother's arms. I felt the tender rocking motion of the drive. Joaquin didn't interrupt when my tears started and the windburn slashed against my cheeks. He didn't ask if I was cold or state words of comfort. His cheek tightened as he chewed his toothpick. He flicked on the heater and kept driving to allow me privacy to grieve. I cried harder, choking down wails until I coughed and shuddered with cold. I purged emotions I didn't know were spoiled inside me. Close your eyes. Joaquin pulled onto a gravel driveway of a taco shop. Get out. He held the door open with one hand, firmly gripped my arm with his other to pull me out of the car. He held my hand tightly in his as he opened the door to the taco shop. I pulled away, not wanting to be claimed, but he didn't release me. His guiding hand on my shoulder strongly suggested I slide into an orange-colored booth and stay put. Music filled the cracks in the walls of the shop and covered my pain under a camouflage of smells, sounds, and a cook's laughter. Nobody questioned a relationship between a giant, well-dressed homeboy dragging in a tiny, messy, red-eyed white girl wearing an oversized work shirt late at night. I sat, numb, oblivious to having a dirty face and tangled hair. Joaquin told a joke in Spanish, playfully harassing the tough mamacita at the cash register before he looked over his shoulder at me. He returned to the table with 2 bottled Cokes and a tray of food. He placed a beef taco plate in front of me and smiled playfully. Wait until you eat this. Check out the freshness of the produce. Look at this lettuce, it's so crispy. And the tomatoes. You'll thank me for showing you what you've been missing." The conversation and bright smile were far out of context after my tears and silence during the road trip. I looked at him, no longer a demon, but an immature 16-year-old in the skin of a large man. It was Joaquin's charm to make a fool of himself in order to divert a person's focus from their pain, and why I kept him around for as long as I did. "Look at it before you eat, then take a bite. Listen." He took a big bite, emphasizing the crunch before he covered his mouth as his eyes rolled in pleasure. "Did you hear that? Nobody does tacos like this place." I picked up a taco and bit in. I wasn't naive to not know he never planned to take me home after work. Maybe he deliberately preyed on the weak, or maybe he wanted to be a hero. Whichever it was, the smell of vulnerability was an aphrodisiac to his machismo-filled soul. When I got into his car at the gas station, I was so disassociated from myself that I must have scared him for being far more broken than he imagined. Fortunately, he had a compassionate side and tried really hard most of the time to please me, but it was impossible for him to maintain both patience and skill to put all my broken pieces in their place. He cared enough, even reluctantly getting caught up and falling in love with me, but he never overcame his own demons. And not every day was he able to maintain himself as the hero.